Today I want to tell you about what I think is the most important reason that Korean people should learn English. There's a really fun question that I like to ask Korean friends, and whenever I meet anyone, Korean or otherwise, I like to ask some questions to get a feel for their personality and their way of thinking. And one of my favorite questions to ask my Korean friends is, if there were a pill and you could take this pill and it would make you perfect at English, it would make you like a native speaker, it would make you speak English like me, you wouldn't forget Korean or anything like that, it just makes you also able to speak English, how much would you pay for that pill? And I think the most interesting thing about asking this question is that of the dozen people I ask this question, or maybe more than that, they arrive at the answer rather quickly, and their answer is almost always the same, which is $10,000. It's so funny to me how quickly, and not easily, but how quickly they come to that exact same answer, which is $10,000. It's not a bad answer. And then I ask a follow-up question, which is kind of difficult for them to answer, which is, why do you want to know English? And they sit there and they go, what? That's the question that throws them off. This weird, obscure question about like a pill that magically blah, blah. They can come to the conclusion, the answer to that pretty quickly in the night. But when I ask them the question of why do you want to learn English, that's a bit of a head scratcher. And I think it's because people have taken for granted the idea that you have to learn English for so long that they've never really stopped and thought about why am I studying English? And a lot of the English studying that happens in Korea happens when you're studying for Sunung or for some TOEIC to get a good job or something. So a lot of it is very direct at that moment when you're studying English. But then I have Korean friends who are like, I want to learn more English. And okay, so why do you want to learn English? And they'll come up with some kind of vague answers like, I love to travel. Okay. I love to learn about foreign culture. Okay, so exactly how are you going to use English to do those things? Okay, traveling, you could talk to the hotel concierge, or you could, book tours or whatever in English a lot more easily than maybe you can in Korean, whatever. How are you going to learn about international culture through English? And they kind of sit there and, I don't know. So that's the point I want to get to. I think the most important reason to learn English is to be able to use the internet. Now I know the internet has a lot of Korean content as well. I get that. But let's be real. A majority of the internet is in English. I'm not sure how much, but I'll say like 80%, especially if you're not including Chinese content, which I'm not sure if people can access or not, or maybe just Chinese people can't access our internet, like the global internet. I don't know how that works, but a lot of the internet is in English. A lot more of the internet is in English than in Korean. That's for sure. And if you want to learn about international culture, news, politics, philosophy, whatever, you could do it through the internet very easily if you know English well. And the thing is, Korean people really love the world perspective on things, really love world culture. There's three things that Korean people really like. Number one is cute stuff. Like that, I'm always surprised by how much utility a Korean person will lose for cuteness. Like I used to love it back when there were like those really small iPhones, like the iPhone 4 or the iPhone 5 even. A Korean person would have this little phone and I'd slap on this gigantic bunny ear case just to make it cuter. And it's like, I've tripled the size of my phone, and it's super inconvenient. I hold it like this, but it's really cute. I always thought that was funny. So Korean people, of course, love cuteness, love delicious food, which is, I want to be quick and correct this. Like, we don't generally say delicious food in English. We say kind of like good food. Or I guess you can be a little weird and say tasty food. But we'd say like, yeah, I like good food. But Korean people like to say delicious food. 맛있어요. So Korean people love delicious food. You can see it on like half of Korean Instagram is pictures of food. My Korean friends always are trying to find the delicious food restaurant. It's a lot of stuff about delicious food. And then like foreigners. I don't even know if foreigners is the right way to put it. Foreign culture. What's going on in the world? How do foreigners think about things? How do foreign people view Korea especially? All that stuff. If you hit all three of those, if you have a cute foreigner eating food, delicious food, you win. There's a lot of YouTube channels about that. Not this one so much. But the point is the demand for foreign culture, the interest in foreign culture is quite high. And the supply is really low because a lot of Korean people can't use the internet in English. And actually, Korean people are better at English than they give themselves credit for. And a lot of Korean people can actually use the internet in English. It's just a huge pain in the ass. And I get the feeling like you're just trying to surf the internet. You don't want to go through the rigmarole of like doing it all in English and looking up words and being confused. And it's oftentimes not the time for that. I get that. But on the other hand, the internet is a really amazing, amazing thing. For the first time in human history, all of our consciousnesses are melted together. Not just all of our consciousness, I mean, human thinking has been solidified digitally on the internet. And you can't really get a hold of that unless you're doing it in English. Now, there is a portion of the internet that's in Korean, that's fine, but really a lot of this information out there is in English. And the story I always think about is I had this Korean friend who was going to go study abroad in Germany. And he was asking me, what do foreigners like about Korean culture, and how can I get German people to like me, and things like that. And I was like, well, just be cool and tell some funny stories. Tell them about Hangul. Hangul is really interesting, I think. And he's like, okay. And then he just told me, I heard German people like swimming. And I was just like, what the fuck? Where did he get this information? And so before he went to Germany, he started learning to swim at a swimming hagwon, which I think is just like very funny, almost kind of cute Korean thing to do, which is like, I have a problem. What do German people like? I have found out that they like swimming. How can I correct this problem? I will go to a hagwon, which teaches swimming. Problem solved. I am now a swimmer, and German people will like me. Like, it's a very direct way of thinking, which is kind of funny. So I was kind of curious. I'm like, what a weird thing. I guess, are German people into swimming? So I asked a couple of my German friends, and they were just completely clueless. They were like, I don't know where that guy got that information. I'm not sure even, like, it's like, doesn't even make sense. German people are into swimming. Okay, whatever. And I think I have an idea of how he got that information, which was he did a search about Germany or German culture in Korean. And when you do that search in Korean instead of in English, you get this very small perspective, which is just a Korean person. Because it's written in Korean, it must have been done by a Korean person. There's not many foreigners who are speaking Korean, especially proficient enough to give out information about their own country in Korean. So he found some Korean dude who wrote a blog post or wrote an article or made a video or did something about Germany because he lived in Germany or he studied in Germany or something like that. And that guy, I'm not sure, but I feel like that guy was hanging out with some German friends who were into swimming. And then he was like, German people like swimming. I've got this friend who really talks about swimming a lot. So German people like swimming. He made this sweeping generalization about the whole country through that one moment. And then it kind of spreads like wildfire through the Korean corner of the internet, which is not that big and doesn't have that many sources. Now, compare that to when I do a search about Germany in English. I'll get American people and Canadians and Australians and New Zealand people who lived in Germany or studied in Germany for some amount of time, just visited Germany, whatever. But I'll also get German people. Because the German people, when they use the internet, oftentimes they do it in English because they want to be part of the globe. They want to be part of the community, and they're pretty damn good at English. So they write stuff in English all the time. It's not even necessarily about Germany. It's just their perspective on food, culture, politics, news, whatever. And I could just see what a German person is thinking. And they could write some things about Germany specifically if they want. I mean, there might be books, German books, that are translated in English that aren't translated into Korean that I can read to get a further understanding without having to be so direct and ask somebody, what do German people like? I can kind of observe their whole culture through their literature because there's going to be a bunch of their books that are translated into English. I can read their newspapers. There's the only German newspaper I know of is Das Spiegel, and they translate it into English every day. I can read a German newspaper and get the source directly. I can get right to the source, and I don't have to depend on one American dude who went to Germany or a handful of them. I could just ask German people. I could just tap into their culture directly because I know the world language, which is English. And I don't want this video to come off like I'm wagging my finger at you and making you feel bad. And everyone should learn my language. My language is the language of the world, so learn my language. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to give my opinion so that Korean people could know like the real reason I think Korean people should be learning English. It's hard to pour so much time and effort into something like learning a language or like, I don't know, exercise or studying anything or trying to achieve any goal when you're not really sure what the goal is. You're not really sure the point of the goal. And that's my whole point in this video, is that your goal in learning English, one of your goals at least, should be to connect to the world through the internet, because the internet is a really amazing, awesome thing. And a lot of it's in English. So my suggestion to you, the viewer, is if you're thinking about learning English, or if you want a good reason to learn English, the number one reason I think Korean people should learn English is so that they have access to humankind's consciousness, to all of the information out there, which is on the internet. So if you like my video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate my video, give it a thumbs down. If you love me or you hate me, hit the subscribe button. I don't know that the video is very very controversial, but it's my opinion, and maybe you disagree that English is not super important and it's fine to just use the internet in Korean, and Korean has plenty of perspectives on the world, so you don't need to learn English, fine. Maybe you totally agree with me and think like, yeah, I'm one of those people that use the internet in English all the time and it's really helped me learn more about the world than my other Korean friends who don't. Whatever your perspective is, please leave comments. Maybe you just want to say I'm an ugly, stupid, poopy head. Leave those comments as well. Remember, these videos come out every Friday at 7 p.m. So if it's after 7 p.m. and it's a Friday, one of these videos came out and you should check it out. And of course, the most important thing of all, have a super awesome day.
여러분의 지원 덕분에 이번 영상을 제작할 수 있었습니다.